Okay, back with Bodybuilding Room 101, episode number 9 with Mr. Nathan Styles, new IFBB Pro. Nath, you're here to tell us your entries for Room 101, so please take it away.
Well, hello guys. Thank you for having me on. First and foremost, I have watched a couple already. I think I sent Ryan 5, just in case, just to cover all bases. Not that I'm like a fucking guy who just hates everyone or hates everything, but I just thought I'd cover bases. So, which 3 do you want me to pick, right?
Mate, I reckon go with all 5.
We'll make them a little bit shorter, and then
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, they're quite short anyway.
Yeah,
so, number 1, this could be quite controversial. I have got a lot of natty friends, and I've got some natty clients, but natural competitors who basically tell you they're natural every single sentence, and they've got natural written in the bio, and they make you fully aware that they are natural, is a little bit annoying, because the chances are the guys who are preaching that they are natural are probably fucking not, because it's the guys who I find who don't say anything, just go about the business, and they are the top level natural athletes. They don't have to tell anybody that they're natural, because they just go about the business like we do and just crack on. So yeah, that just grind my gears a little bit. I'm like, yeah, we can tell you're fucking natural. You're 10 stone. Like,
yeah,
it's a little bit like with vegans. They're the same way, because I've got a fair amount of vegan clients, and they make sure to tell you, remind you that they're vegan, and you're like, okay, like that's fine.
Yeah. CrossFit, vegan, natty.
Yeah.
They fucking have to let you know.
A CrossFit vegan natty would be a fucking.
if they were like cross-dresser, like transgender, I don't know. But yeah, nothing.
I see, anytime I see someone, they're like, oh, I won my show. I'm a vegan as well. It's like, so you won your show, but you got to point out that you're a vegan. Very similar to the natties, is, when someone's like, yeah, bro, you can lift more, but it's because you're on gear, and you're like, okay, yeah.
I mean, I don't sort of put in my bio, I'm an assisted athlete, like
10 cycles in, bro.
Yeah. But that grinds my gears a little bit.
Nothing screams guilt like saying that you're a natty. If you're definitely guilty, you're the first one to say, no, I didn't.
So this is another one, right? So I'm not naming names, because I don't want to sort of fucking
throw
anybody under the bus. But there's one guy who preaches natty, but he's never fucking competed in a natural federation. Like, he's done PCA, he's done 2 Bros natural, which and he's never actually done like a UK DBFA, or he's never done a BMBF, because those guys are very, very fucking stringent with their testing. I've got a natural female figure and a natural female physique client, and I wanted an in-person check-in a couple of weeks ago. She said, oh, I can't come. I've been called into Birmingham for my polygraph. Like, she had to drive to Birmingham for a polygraph, and they were pulling the regional show that I went to. I've been to a couple of natural shows this year with my clients. They were pulling people off, like, as soon as they come off stage, they're pulling people into like a room for fucking polygraph testing. So they are.
They've got the time, the money to put into that.
Yeah, the funding, but they were. So, and by the way, this is not me digging at natties, because I've been to a couple of shows, and the fucking level of condition that they bring is massively fucking admirable, and I respect them a lot, because it just takes them longer to build muscle, and to also to get lean. Like, they have to diet for fucking 24, 30 weeks. So the guys who do it, like, utmost respect for them, because I have got some clients, and I have to fucking bury them. Like, they have to graft. And like I say, some of the physiques are outstanding, but you don't need to tell me every other fucking sentence that
you feel like these natural people go into like PCA or 2 Bros, and like, as in a non-tested federation, Do you think they do it as almost like a, if it doesn't go, if they don't get the result they want, it's almost like they're, yeah, but they've always got a yeah, but at the end.
Well, yeah, potentially they've always got a yeah, but I'm natural. I finished top 6 and I'm natural. Or I finished top 3 and I'm natural. So yeah, they have got that, which is, I suppose, is a valid point. Like they haven't got as many tools in the toolbox as what we have. So
yeah, I'm surprised. I don't hear that many people talk about the natty, not natty thing anymore. It was a lot more years back when people were a little bit shadier about being on cycle, or people would lie about it. Now it's kind of like people take gear, no one cares, and then if you're natural, no one cares still. That's kind of how it is in my circles.
Well, what do you not think? Like when we are cycling off, let's say we're on TRT, let's say we're on a cruise, whatever you want to call it, on a lower dose, whatever, or even if we came off, do you not think that we, and us three, do you not think that we would say that? Like we would put a post up and we would say, I look like this.
Go, oh yeah,
I'm eating this,
I'm
and
a bit
also
weaker now, but I'm a bit weaker now because I'm cruising.
Yeah. Do you think that we would be guilty? Would we fall into that trap as well? Do you think?
Do you know what? Yeah, because when I post a checking picture up or whatever, I'll generally say week 5 or week 6 recovery. But do you know when I'm on cycle, I won't say fucking week 10 of my blast and total dosage is X, Y, and Z. I assume people know, but I will make a point of saying I'm on a recovery dose.
I think I don't think you need to say you're assisted, mate. I think about 330 pounds with an 8-pack is but I kind of see the point though, right? So as I just said, we would all say it, and I think we all do say it when we're on a TRT or whatever, So I kind of get it, because you know that you've got a handicap against assisted guys. So you're kind of like, you want to make that point. And I get it. I kind of get it. It does annoy me as well, might I add, but I do understand why they're saying it. I do get it.
Yeah, it's a good talking point. It is a good talking point, to be fair. So, what do you think, in or out?
So the argument originally is that people that talk about being natural and having to tell you that every sentence. Yeah, I think that's definitely something that potentially would go in there.
And it being in the bio.
Oh yeah,
it's like their Instagram handle, like a natural athlete.
I think I just think that people talk about steroids way too much, and I should imagine because you're on the JP site, and all of your cycle is like listed there, right?
Yeah.
I bet you're inundated with that type of question about. I know that my inbox is full of like steroid questions, and it really pisses me off. I know it's a necessary evil to get where I want. I don't want to fucking talk about it all the time, if I'm honest.
Yeah. I mean that is the general. The majority of the questions that I get are based on my sort of cycles or my chemical setup, and generally the questions on the forums, the majority of questions are people saying, I'm just starting my off season, this is my cycle, could you please have a look at it and tell me what you think?
Don't that piss you off? And you don't know who they are, they just want that from you.
I mean, I suppose that's what they pay for, but
they're paying you. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, well, they pay on the site, so that they have to be paying a monthly.
I think what you mean, Ryan, isn't it annoying that they're not saying, "Can you look at my diet? Can you look at my training setup?" Instead, they go, "Can you
look at my gear?"
Cycle.
Yeah, definitely. It's the first thing that people ever. I did a YouTube. On one of my YouTubes, I said, I'm dreading doing this. I did it anyway. I showed my cycle and my supplements and things like that I was taking throughout the day. And I was like, I know that no one's going to focus on the rest. They're all going to focus on this bit. And sure enough, the only questions I got were about that. It's just
that's what people think does the work, and it's not the 6,000-7,000 calories that you're ploughing in daily and the hard training and the graft for 15 years. It's got to be the drugs.
Definitely.
But we know when you ask a client and they say, "Oh, my training and diet's on point." What do you mean? "Oh, it's on point. It's all right, bro. It's good. Look at my cycle." And you're like, "Chances are it's not."
Yeah, and you look at them and they're about 10 stones soaking wet, and they're like, bro, I've got the food and training nailed. Don't worry, don't worry.
I mean, I've had a client who just wanted me to do his cycle because his missus, who's a bikini girl, was and not like a top level bikini girl, just like she competed in bikini, was she did nutrition at uni. So she was a PT, so she was taking care of his training and his nutrition, and that was on point. So could you just look at my gear? I'm like, I don't. That's not how it works, mate. If I'm going to coach you, I'm taking the reins. Like I'm taking the full reins, because I can more or less guarantee that your training's not on point. I can definitely guarantee if a bikini girl's doing your diet, you're not going to be fucking eating enough.
Yeah. 100%.
So
yeah. People's version of what is training hard is dramatically different to reality of hard.
yeah.
But anyway, to go back to the point, right? So people who over fucking talk about being a natty, is that in room 101? Yes or no? Yes.
Yeah.
100%, mate.
Nice.
It's in there. So get on to number 2, please.
This happened to me Tuesday. People sat texting on a machine between sets, or taking fucking pictures in between, like doing about 5 reps and then taking the picture in the mirror and not actually fucking training how they should be training. But yeah, the texting on the machine between sets fucking does my head in. So I was waiting for the machine. I was like, how many sets you got left, bud? And he was like looked up from his phone, like looked at me as if like I'd fucking interrupted him, and they were like, I've got 3, mate. And then went back to texting. I'm like, is this fucking kid for real or what? Like, if it was me, I'd say, oh, I've got 2 sets left, mate, but you can jump in if you want and warm up.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it depends on what gym you're in. So, like, if you go to like a commercial gym or something that's like it's hybrid between like a hardcore and commercial, like the in-between sort of level, you get people who are just turning up. You know what I mean? When you go to a good quality gym, you see a lot less of that. I see so many times I see people actually repping. As they're repping, they're literally texting.
Yeah.
So they got the leg extension like this, and they're just
right. This is literally the same day, and I was fucking absolutely amazed. I was literally just shaking my head. There was a girl on the leg extension. No, it weren't. It was a hamstring. She was on a hamstring curl. She had one hand gripping the back of the seat to try and hold her down. The other hand, she had a phone like that, and she was doing her reps and filming her legs, like for Instagram or Snapchat. And I'm thinking, what the fuck are you doing? Like, just do your set, or buy a tripod if you want to film your set. But she's not secure or stable in the actual machine to get the most out of it anyway. And she's fucking Snapchatting whoever.
Can I say something? I know it's a bit controversial. I know it's a bit elitist, but I'm going to fucking say it anyway. Who the fuck gives a shit about some really weak girl doing a hamstring curls? Who really gives a shit? If she's attractive, there might be blokes like perving on her, sure. But do they care about her doing a hamstring curl? No. Do men care about her who are into training doing a hamstring curl? No. Like, so no one cares. Just like, I don't know, unless the person's of a level who actually gives a shit about what they're doing. I know it's a bit controversial, but
it's not controversial. But in my opinion, and this might be controversial, she's probably doing it. She's just begging it for a little bit of attention. That is essentially it. I mean, don't get me wrong. We all like some positive comments. That's why we fucking potentially post us pictures and things like that. But I think there's a limit to how you do it.
Timing of training probably matters as well. If you go in and train at 6 p.m, you're probably a lot more likely to encounter that. If you train like mid-morning, probably a lot less so.
Yeah.
Hey, Dave, what would you have done if that had happened to you about 5 years ago?
See that's different. Back then it would have. Well, back then I would have stood by the machine, stared him down, and just literally bullied him out of the machine. Now I'll just say, "Can I work in?" And a lot of times when you start doing your set, they see you start doing a set and you actually do it properly, they fuck off anyway.
Yeah.
I've had that. I think it's just like it's a lack of knowledge, and it's just what we need to realize though is we all take it very, very seriously, and a lot of people don't. And think of it like this: when you go to the lanes in swimming, there's people doing lanes and they take it seriously, right? Would you go in and start like playing bat and ball with your missus or something? You just wouldn't, right? I think that's the problem. We're taking it really seriously, and we need certain things at certain times, right? But they don't give a shit.
Yeah. I think it's everybody's got a sort of different concept of training and what's important, and I think that can potentially piss people off. We'd probably piss people off with how serious we are.
Do you know what?
I've had that with a certain bar in the gym. So I'll walk in the gym and there's only a certain bar that I like to deadlift on. I just would not use another one. I'll go in the gym and there's a guy bench pressing on it. And I'll walk up to him and I'll say, "How many sets have you got with this bar?" And he looks at me like, "There's about 10 other bars, bro." I'm like, no, I want this one. And I said, "Look, I will drag another bar across. I will reload your weight back on the bench. And then I'll just take the bar." And he just looks at me like I'm fucking retarded. Like, why?
Well, if you're not in the bodybuilding game, that is a bizarre thing to happen to you, right?
Yeah, you won't understand why.
Is it a deadlift bar or is it just a bar?
Just a regular bar, but it's just a bar that I like.
That's a brilliant.
Bar.
No, but they're slightly different. You know that you've got one bar that's a little bit older, a little bit like more knurling on it or less knurling on it.
Yeah.
You've got a favorite bar and you know the bar.
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
But there's a rule in I go to a few gyms, but my local gym, King's Gym in Bolton, and they've got a rule in there now that they don't want you taking your top off when you finish training. So I think we all kind of normalise dropping our pants, taking our top off, and posing, right?
What the fuck are you going to do now, right? Without that lighting and being able to strip down to your pants every session?
I still do it, but just when I'm looking. I'm really quick. I'm like,
They probably don't mind if it's like quiet. So if you turn up at 11:30, that's probably fine. Now, if you do it at 6 p.m, you know.
I felt a bit betrayed because the guy who owns it, I get on with him really, really well. We chat away, and I do it. And then on the Facebook group, someone wrote on the Kingston Facebook group, someone wrote was like, people taking their top off, and the owner of the gym was like, "Yeah, it's so fucking annoying, isn't it?" And I was like, "Oh, fucking hell." So yeah, but I think we normalise doing that, but it's really not normal. We do have normal shit as well.
Yeah, I mean, I got this it was actually in Italy. So have you ever been abroad and trained at like a McFit gym? They're called McFit.
No.
It's a bit like a Virgin or like a gym group, but it's their like chain. They're decent little gyms, to be fair. And I went out. They had like an outside area which had some machines outside and like a CrossFit station, but they had a really good like wall, like a blank wall right at the bottom of this outside area. What was perfect for doing my pictures and sending them over to Cal. And I did it every morning that I was there, but there was one morning that there was a woman. I don't even think she was training. Like, she must have just come in. It looked like she was fucking ready for a night out. She got a dress on, and I saw her walk out into the outside area. She like looked at me in pure disgust. Went back in, and then the manager came out and said, "You can't take your clothes off and take pictures out here." I'm like, "There's fucking no one around." But I suppose that's not normal to them.
No. Definitely not. And you know, someone of that size with their top off, it could, you know, imagine you're just some timid, smaller man or smaller woman. That could be quite a like.
Yeah. I understand. It can be quite intimidating. I suppose because we probably don't see ourselves like we actually come across to other people. We're just the same person as what we were when we were like 16, 17. But it is probably intimidating.
Yeah, 100%. I don't know. You spoke about it before. I can't remember. What were you like when you were growing up, Nick? Like build wise, through your teens and stuff.
Do you know what? Like, I shot up in my first year of college. Like, I had a bit of a growth spurt. So I was never the tallest or biggest, even into like the last year of secondary school. And when I started college, like my first year of college, I kind of just like filled out and grew. So going through college, I was like one of the bigger lads on the college football team or in my class. So
When did you start training?
Started training as soon as I left school. I joined a gym, fitness first. So yeah, I mean, I always did little bits at home. Like my dad's been into bodybuilding. My dad competed. I can remember my dad competing when I was like 5 or 6 years old. So, and I used to go down to the gym and watch him and stuff. So it's kind of been in my family. So and I think it depends on the circle of friends that you're in as well. So all the friends that I knocked around with, they were all into training or into the gym. I mean, I didn't have any direction in what I was doing training wise. It was like chest and biceps every fucking session.
Yeah.
And then we used to go and piss about in sauna. But I was in the gym 4 or 5 nights a week from leaving school.
Well, the reason I say it is because growing up, I was really skinny. Like I was taller than all the other kids, but really fucking slim. And I was so slim for so many years that it's hard sometimes for me to break that in my mind. And Amy's always like, you don't realise there's not people like you walking around. It's quite rare to see someone of your size.
Yeah,
in my mind. I don't.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, mate.
I bet you don't know. Sorry.
You don't. I'm going to say you don't notice it. Like,
yeah,
somebody like Ryan walking around 6'3", 300 pounds. Like, that's not normal. Like, to anyone. So you wonder why people in the supermarket probably like fucking look at you and things like that.
Yeah, a couple of times I've been like, why is that person looking? Like, maybe I had a bad day or something. And Amy's like, Ryan, it's weird. You've got a tight top on and you're that big because it's not normal. People aren't going to look. I'm like, but I'm still this skinny boy in my head. I was skinny until I was probably 19. I was very, very like, I don't know.
Normal.
Definitely not.
Even like I get it, and it's like you think you don't see it until someone points it out.
I think it's with you as well, though. You've got all of your coverage. You know, it's really abnormal to have all that.
Yeah, the tattoo for sure.
Is it full bod, Chud?
What? Just the arm and the back.
Right.
You've got the blackout, haven't you?
Oh, no, I'm talking about the blackout. Yeah, the blackout. Oh. I've got a little bit on my like calves, shins, and that because I didn't want to touch my legs, and I've got my one arm is blacked out, and then here I've got my chest, back. So yeah, quite a lot.
You've got. Do you know what, Nath? You've got more than I realised. You know, you put up a post about you in 2020 or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was more evident you had that buzz cut, didn't you? It was more evident that you had tattoos. I don't think of you having tattoos now. It's weird.
Yeah, I think when you've got your tan on stage, they're not as not as sort of prominent.
Do you use anything different to cover them up, or
no? This year, my tans were the best I've ever had this year, and the reason is I only paid for the top coat, and I tanned. Well, Phoebe tanned me, put my base layer on 2 days before. So she did a layer on the Thursday, a layer on the Friday, and then I had the top coat on the Saturday. So we did a zone tan 2 days before, and it was the best my tan's ever gone on. And
you let it kind of develop. Yeah,
and let it sort of sit in the skin. And I didn't sweat nowhere near as much this year. So that again could be potentially something. And I glazed myself as well, so I didn't use the glaze that they use. So I think sometimes the glaze like blocks my pores up a little bit, and I think that's potentially a reason for the sweating. So this year I just glazed myself, and I didn't use any glaze like on my chest or my midsection. It was just like legs, glutes, arms, delts. And left everything else. And once you start posing, you get a little bit warm, and there is a little bit of sweat. That kind of just glazes you anyway. Yeah. So
Ryan, you like Dream Tan, don't you?
Yeah, so I wasn't using it before. I was always using whatever the federation gave. But Martin said to me to do what's it called? Base coat of not Dreams. I don't know. Protan, yeah, Protan base coat, and then Dream Tan about an hour before. So yeah, I did that, and I quite like the look. It's just messy.
With my clients, and it worked really well. But you can't put oil on it. I found out the hard way.
No, you can't glaze it because it just smudges. Yeah.
I've used Dream Tan before, and I actually really like. Well, one time I fucking fucked it up. The first time I used it, I put it on way too thick. Like literally, it was that thick you could fucking barely see any lines. It was like it smoothed me out completely.
What was it that you were using? Do you remember when we were backstage? You had that little
roller. Was that in 2017?
Yeah,
that was Dream Tan.
Was it?
Yeah.
So yeah, Chad, I was behind him. Me and him were like we competed against each other in 2017. And he was the only one doing it. He had this like little roller, this mini roller, and he was rolling himself the whole time. What the fuck's on that?
Yeah, that was.
I actually hadn't even heard of Dreamtime by that point. I didn't even know what it was. He kept rolling himself. And was going on.
Yeah, you can't use that in the two bros, can you?
No, you can't use that. You can only use their tan.
Is it the? They definitely tell.
Yeah, you can. You can.
Reckon? Oh, yeah.
I think so. I mean, I use they use Protan, so I just bought the Protan. So they do a super dark now, which is a super dark base coat, and then they just do a normal base coat. But I bought the super dark, and that was worked really well for the base coat.
Do you think moving forward you're just going to do it the way you did it this year then?
100%. So yeah,
I might have to give that way a go, mate. You can do it really, really good, actually.
Phoebe tanned Jamie as well. Jamie Jarl, and his tan was the best he's had this year as well. So
on sunbeds as you like get closer.
This year I didn't. I have previous years, but I didn't this year. I've not had a sunbed for about a year. Because I did hear. It might be just. Like it's one of those things. Like as soon as you hear something, I kind of what could negatively impact the look. I'm like, yeah, fuck that.
Yeah, I've heard that about massage and sunbeds.
Yeah, that you can hold water, like subcutaneous water under the skin. So I was like, yeah, fuck that. So
well, I believe that it is true, right? So every time I'm out in the sun for like the day, I always feel like I look a bit blurry.
Well, what you've got to think, you're fucking damaging your skin at the end of the day. It's going to cause inflammation. And with inflammation comes fluid retention, so it does make sense.
What about melanotan? I know a lot of people do that.
Again, I've used it in the past fucking excessively. When I was younger, I was like Choco Man, but I've not touched it for. I had a bad experience. I did. It was when it was Josh, so it might have been like 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago. I did a shot of melanotan in the morning instead of my GH, and it fucked me, like fully fucked me for the day. I threw up out the back patio. I couldn't eat anything all day. I was in a bad way, banging headache. That put me off. I've never touched it since.
Yeah, wow.
So I did try the nasal tanners, but again,
yeah. So the nasal is just 50% strength.
Yeah. Yeah, so I try and just not fuck about with anything now. I might have a few sunbeds like leading up to a holiday if I'm going on a holiday, but I won't do anything leading up to a competition.
I think in like 7 to 10 days before a show, this is probably advice for everyone. I'll just try and avoid anything that, even if there's a slight potential that it could affect anything, just don't do it.
Yeah, and the thing is, if you've not done it all prep, don't fucking add it in.
Well, especially for you two, like it's a lot more important. Someone that's just doing a first show, but
but you know what?
At your level,
but even if you're first time or whatever, I just think just don't risk it. You want to give the best version of yourself, right? You know what I mean? So, we kind of detoured. What was even the point?
Texting between sets.
On
the fuck that.
100% in the room. All right.
Basically, it's just a catch up. We're just having a fucking chat, but we eventually get back to the point.
This is what they are, mate. Every time we just talk and
So the next three, I'll let you decide on which ones you want to go with. So I think you've spoke about this, so we kind of probably don't need to touch on this too much, but coaches or athletes, but coaches mainly, being married to a certain methodology and not having the ability to change that methodology with their clients, and what suits their clients' needs as well. Like, as we all know, we've all probably tried different methods through the years, and there's definitely more than one way to skin a cat. And some people will suit a certain methodology better than another one, and they'll get a better response from that. So I don't think there's just one set sort of way that you need to work. So that's one. The next one was going right. Sorry.
Oh, sorry, mate. I was going to ask on that point. I don't know if you do this or Charlie. I don't know. What I find is a lot of coaches who are coached, they end up just copying what the coach does and gives it to their clients.
Yeah.
And I always find that a bit strange. Like, completely abandon what you want to do and then just give everyone that.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm not really a fan of that personally.
No, so I mean, just for instance, this is just me with my coaching setup. So in my master copy for my Google Sheets, I've literally got 5 or 6 like training styles or setups, which I can adapt then to suit a client's needs. So I've got like a push-pull leg split, I've got a bro split, I've got a 4-day split, I've got a higher volume approach, and depending on what they enjoy, like when they fill the questionnaire in, like what because first and foremost, the most important thing for progress is fucking enjoying it. So,
well, do you know what I will say about that is though, when someone is, but sometimes you'll get a client who's married to a certain style, and they'll tell you, I need to do this because I like it. But I look at your physique and I'm like, no, because your legs are weak. Right? So if your legs are weak, I don't care if you tell me that you love bench pressing. We're going to have to ease off on something to allow for something else.
Yeah, to allow for more frequency in another area that we need.
Exactly. Yeah. I think sometimes.
Sorry, go on.
Sorry. No, you go on, mate. You go on.
So Dan actually said on the last podcast, which actually kind of I never thought about. He said he himself trains to failure. He's kind of like that's his thing. But he's used the reps in reserve training for clients, and that's worked really well. So he says, even though I've got a bias towards that certain style for myself, it doesn't mean that it wouldn't fit someone else, which I think that's kind of difficult for a lot of us to kind of de-associate with that, because we just like it better. Say, I can't imagine myself doing an upper lower split, but that could work for a client, you know?
Well, the thing is, when you're establishing yourself as a coach, the training plans that you give out have to reflect what you like. They've come to you. You're not a jack of all trades. I'm Ryan Mackins, you're Nath Styles, you're Dave Chudley. You've got your style and your methods that you like and you want to push to other people. You know what I mean? So you do kind of pick things. You do have biases, but that's kind of okay. That's what makes you and you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree there.
It makes things individual.
Yeah, fully agreed there. And obviously, it also depends on your client's lifestyle and availability to train as well. Because there's no point putting them on a 5-day sort of single body part split if you can only fucking train 3 days a week, because they're not going to do it.
Advancement level, like something that JP actually is quite strongly opinionated about, is your training split or how you train should be reflective of your advancement. So if you're just starting out, but there's no point for you to be on a bro split. You can make better use of your time doing a full body or an upper lower.
Yeah, again, but I agree what Nath said. So it kind of depends. Like I remember I did a bro split when I first started, and I loved it. You know, it really suited me. You know, at that time,
and we still do.
Yeah. I think a real big one is volume. If you're giving a client, like let's say someone who's fairly new to the gym, not very strong, and it's all good, like you have to understand their level. Giving them low volume just isn't going to work.
No, it's not.
There's just no way they can get the right stimulus on low volume. Just no way.
No, and I also think that this is where getting video feedback from your clients is very important, because you can then assess how they can where they can take themselves into a set. Because if they're stopping fucking way before failure, there's no point giving them a top set and a back off set, because they're not going to create the amount of stimulus required for growth to occur. So they potentially do need 4 sets per exercise just to build up that volume.
Dan Nath said exactly the same thing, didn't he?
Say again.
Dan Nath, he said exactly the same thing, actually.
Yeah.
Sometimes I really wish, like, the drawback of online coaching is that you're not there in person. Sometimes I just wish I could have one session with certain people, because you know they've got potential, but when you see their working sets, you're like, ugh, like, you just know there's another 10, 20% in there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's frustrating.
I think you've made that point quite strongly on like your Instagram stories as well, right? With your clients, which I think it's sometimes good for people to see that. But yeah, but saying that now, I don't know if this has happened to you this last sort of 6 to 12 months. We are now at like a level that we are attracting a different clientele, or we're attracting more advanced clients now who can train hard and can train harder than the clients that I probably attracted 2-3 years ago.
Yeah.
So
definitely see what you're on about. Yeah.
So the sort of the scope of training is coming down, so we can like narrow it down now to say, right, this is what we need to do, and they can sort of fully get on board with that and crack on.
Yeah, definitely. But I've got some guys who have got really good genetics, and I think because of that, it's almost a drawback. They don't train with that much intensity. So in my mind, I look at them and they check in and they're like, yep, smashed it, did this. And I'm inclined to believe them. But I know that there's more, because they've got quite good genetics, they don't push themselves to the level that I know that they could. Yeah. Kind of still got to crack the whip kind of thing, you know?
Yeah. So that one, but I think you'd covered that in
yes. Yeah.
In a couple of others. One, what does piss me off is filtering checking pictures.
I need to stop you there. I think I've been guilty of it.
Have you, right?
Yeah.
Do you know why it pissed me off? And I've never said it, but I've got a client who sends me his checking pictures and then posts them on Instagram. And I look at the fucking Instagram checking picture, I'm like, that's not the fucking picture that he sent me. Like, he's browner, he's 10% leaner. And then I repost it and I'm thinking, that's not his checking picture.
So you get the non-filtered version of it.
Yeah, I get the non. I
think that's okay, because you get that. That's kind of what matters. Is for you to get the perspective, and then on Instagram you can show off, you know.
But do you think you can? I can fucking tell, like, when somebody's filtered the checking picture, especially if it's in natural light as well.
Yeah, it depends. It depends how filtered.
Yeah, I suppose if it's just, because don't get me wrong, we've all probably put fucking structure 10 on before.
Yeah.
Like if you do like a leg shot or something in a lift and you fucking add a little bit of structure, we might have all done that just to. But checking pictures is a different story than just a random gym shot.
I just got to hold my hands up. I have, and I agree with you. I think that it shouldn't be a thing, but I have. And maybe it's an insecurity, maybe it's something else, but I'm holding my hands up and say, I've done it. I've got a rule in my mind that I don't ever go above 20. So structure, it goes up to 100, right? 20, I'll never go above, ever. Even if it's a gym photo, if it's anything, I'll never go above it, because it just looks shit.
Do you think some people, have you seen some people that actually, so I actually have a client and I say to him, look, I said, you don't need to filter your pictures so much. You actually look better unfiltered. You filter too much, it makes them look worse.
Yeah.
But it's that mental thing, isn't it? They over filter.
I think this is where social media just fucks people mentally.
But it doesn't,
100%.
You can't, we notice this, we notice because we do it.
And you can't hide on stage neither, like, that's what kind of frustrates me, is the checking pictures, especially when you're getting close to stage. Like, fucking hell, he looks fucking class 2 weeks out. He turns up on stage, he don't look like that.
That is so true. I very often I'll post the video as well, which isn't filtered. So like I want people to know what it actually looks like when I'm moving and stuff.
Yeah.
But as you say, Nate, there's nowhere to hide. On stage, there is nowhere to hide. The lighting isn't favorable for you. The angles aren't favorable for you. You're just there in your fucking pants.
Yeah.
Do you guys not do checking just a video, just to put your phone on there, record a video, send it over?
That's what I do.
Yeah, because I say that to my clients, and that's how I do my check-ins. Just because I find naturally you're going to pick the angle that is best for you. You're not going to pick an angle that you look shit at.
No. And this is where, again, some people, they look good in a certain pose, or they look good in the screenshot pose, but when they're fucking doing the transitions and you see the video, you're like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, so it looks completely different. So yeah, I generally ask for, unless they are clients of a certain level that they're quite close to me, and I know that how they pose and what they look like, then I don't mind just screenshotting the video and sending it me. But generally, I'll get most people to send me a check-in video.
Yeah, I definitely prefer videos as well. But yeah, as you say, like I think it's just basically we're all not a product of, but we're all living in this Instagram age, and you know how well you can advertise yourself and how good you look can directly relate to money, good financial gain. I'm not saying you don't filter it, you don't get any money. You filter it, you get money. I'm not saying that, but what I mean is just if you can give yourself any little edge. And I think you know, I'm holding my hands up right now. Like I'm man enough to admit, like I've done it. So I don't think that it's a good thing. I think that we're sort of fooling ourselves into thinking that we're leaner than we are or something.
So I think we've all done that. Even if you put the normal picture and you go on the filters on a story.
Mate, I'll be honest with you, I do that. So do you know when I record a video on Instagram story?
Oh, it's got that little,
I do slide it to the next one, what kind of like de-blemishes your face a little bit.
Yeah.
I probably look fucking 5 years younger, to be fair, because it takes like the wrinkles out of my head. But I do that, and that's probably an insecurity. That's maybe like.
And then the next one up's like grainier. That one's like the decent filter. If you want, like, if you got like a pump or.
Well, yeah, but there's one that's good for your face, and then one that's good for your body.
Yeah.
One this smooth and this grainy, right?
Yeah. So I do that when I'm speaking to the camera, and I think that's potentially like a little bit of insecurity, because we've all got them. And just being a little bit self-conscious.
Well, I think it's the amount you do. Like you say, I think there's levels to everything, right? You can do, it looks so shit when someone's got like structure 50, 60 all the time. It's just like, there's a guy that I'm thinking of actually, and he's a really good bodybuilder. Like he serial competes, which is probably a bit of a problem. He's like does like 28 shows in a year or some shit. But he's got a really good physique. But his photos online, I'm like, man, I don't get it.
We need a rule then. So if you're gonna filter your pictures, you can't go over 10 or maybe 15.
17.
Okay, 17. No, it can't be an uneven number. It's got to be 15 or 20.
Yeah, no, you're 20 then.
Yeah.
Secure, right? Fuck. But yeah, I think the overall thing is filtering photos to the death. Yeah, fuck, right. That's this. You're lying to yourself. You're lying to yourself. I think that's got no place in bodybuilding, to be honest. And if you are a serious bodybuilder and actually want to take it on stage, then it don't count for shit.
Exactly.
Yeah, especially trying to deceive your coach. That's counterproductive, because then he'll think, oh, fucking hell, yeah, give him a refeed, and then you don't need it.
Yeah, I mean, if you're fucking filtering your pictures to send to your coach, then you fucked it, really.
Yeah. That's a new level. Yeah, 100%. So that's got to go in room 101.
Right.
So a little bit here and there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the rule is then 15.
Yeah, that's the rule.
If you're under 15, you're good, all right?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we'll deal with that. And then the last one, and I've given 5, but screaming from rep 1 and your sets, like, fucking hell, like, don't get me wrong, I'm a noisy bastard. Like, the last maybe 2 to 3 reps of a set when I'm really taking it there, I make some strange noises, but I don't make any noises from rep 1 to maybe rep 10. And it might be just if you're screaming from rep 1 all the way through to rep 12, then there's something not right there.
There's people that got certain noises that, you know, like from rep 1, they go, okay, do,
I do
some
that.
of that. Like, you know that as well.
I do that. I do that.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I did this on one of, I think one of the last hack squat video that I put on last on my leg day. That I unracked it, and I might have done rep 1. And do you know when it like feels good, and you're like, fucking right, this sets on, and I'm like, oh yes, like,
Yeah.
it's
yes.
yes.
So,
Do you know what I think? It's even more annoying than that. When you've got a training partner and then you unrack it and you're like rep 1, and let's say you're going to get 12 reps and you're like a rep 1 and it's like, come on. And you're like, bro, chill out. I'm on rep 1.
come on,
you get that?
Let's fucking go. Yeah.
Yeah, that's annoying as fuck. There was a point when I used to train in Spartans back in Southampton. There was a point in 2019. It reached a point that I couldn't accept anymore. And I said it all to their faces. So this isn't me being two-faced. I said it to all of them at the time. Like, it got mental. Like, they were all like going up to the bar before they were squatting it, headbutting the bar, screaming, shouting.
That's when you lot all used to do the little tornado.
Yes.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Well, we all used to see this and think, oh my God, what are you doing?
I've actually trained with someone who fucking headbutted the bar before a squat before.
You know that.
Only like one session. He was a fucking lunatic. It was.
And then you called it after that.
Well, he just like said, "Do you want to train legs?" I was like, "Yeah, we can train legs." And yeah, he fucking headbutted the bar like to the point where he was fucking bleeding.
Oh my God, yeah. That's
like,
what they were like. It got to a point in the end.
It
got to a point in the end where they were all slapping each other so hard, like they're going back, bang. It was like it was more about that, and it was all the theatrics. And I said at the time, I was like, boys, what the, like, as I say, I'm not being two-faced. I said it to all of them at the time. It's ridiculous. It's fucking ridiculous.
You called me out on that actually, because I used to get really fired up because it was just a thing at the time, and I used to be like, bro, you're wasting so much energy just getting fired up for that set. Just go under the bar and lift it. And I'm like, no, I need to do it. And now I'm going completely calm, because especially like when you start getting strong, that's when that can hurt you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I can definitely attest to that, where I've overly got myself hyped up for a set, and 3 or 4 reps in, I've thought, fuck, it's not there. Like, I've fucked myself. Whereas where I've kept,
because your heart rate, so
I've kept calm, and it's like that kind of nervous, anxious sort of inner feeling that you get before a fucking big set, and you're thinking, I need to fucking switch on here. But I've not like overly hyped myself up. I've tried to keep calm. They're the sets that are the best sets for me, because I've kept myself under control, and I can blitz through the first 5 or 6 reps. I'm like, oh right, it's fucking on now. Now I can really turn it on. Whereas when I've got overhyped, I fuck myself after 3 or 4.
Doing the sniffing salts. See, that's something I can't do anymore. I find if I do the sniffing salts, I fucks the set.
Yeah,
100%. Me too. I find during what you used to do, Chad, you used to rip your belt off in front of the floor. Remember? Yeah, and so I don't know. I think it's like it's theatrics, and if the camera was not there, would this stuff happen?
Yeah, because there'll be people looking, and again, because I trained in a commercial gym in a pure gym. I wasn't big, but I was strong, and that's kind of like what I was like. Oh well, everyone's going to see me deadlift 300 kilos. I was 95 kilos, so that's not impressive. But that was it. Well, it's just ego. It's just ego.
Well, do you know what? I think we always frown upon things like this, but maybe doing that and it pumps you up and it gives you energy and it makes you lift more. Maybe it's not such a bad thing.
But then your central nervous system's fucked.
That's the thing. It's fraying the CNS. What takes it away from the actual set?
Well, it depends on the goal, doesn't it? I think a lot of the people that I knew that were doing stuff that I was talking about, the headbutts and that, they were just going to be strong. They weren't trying to be good bodybuilders.
Yeah.
And there's definitely a difference. And I think, in fact, definitely you and I, Chad, but Nath, you and I have had this chat as well. I think I was very much married to like numbers. I needed to be strong, and I needed people to know I was strong, but I wasn't that good of a bodybuilder. It was like I was correlating the two, but they weren't. It didn't really matter, you know.
Yeah, I think you've definitely improved as a bodybuilder these last couple of years when you've come away from that, and I think your training's changed slightly as well, hasn't it now?
Well, I think the big thing is I focused the whole session around that. Whereas now everything matters. Whereas before that matters, and then this will complement that.
Yeah, your squat matters or your deadlift
matters
or whatever. Yeah, but now
I think it's more so.
Sorry, Judd.
No, go on. You finish up, and then
I'll just say, like, every single rep of every set of every exercise matters. Like that's what's going to bring the most progress, not just that fucking one set. What?
Or like a triple.
Yeah.
Not even just that, but I think, Ryan, because you're strong, but you're also quite injury prone. So you'll say, "Oh, I'm going to bench today," and you want to show everyone that you can do 5 plates, and that's fine. You do 5 plates and you hurt your pec, and then now you're out of the gym, out of the chest training for a month. Well, that is what's the counterproductive bit, I think.
I think for years that was me. It was like I would have 3, 4, 5 weeks really good, and then 3 weeks nursing an injury. My hip, my knee, my back, like something. And it was always like that. And that's what really held me back. And since I stopped doing that, I've been a lot better of a bodybuilder, you know? So if you ever get clients who you know what their plans are, and then they'll post on Instagram a lift, how fucking annoying is that, by the way?
Yeah, like literally fucking happened to me today.
Did it?
And he tagged me. I'm like,
oh, the nerve.
That's not in your fucking plan. And
I watch it and
stop bouncing out of the fucking bottom of the squat and slow down.
Oh, I saw that the hack spot today. That was the hack spot, wasn't it?
That was another one, but I did message him. But there was another one who just did a barbell squat.
Sometimes I'll be watching their story and I'll literally grab my computer, look at their plan, and I'm like, right.
Yeah, look, every now and again, you go to a different gym, your mate's like, let's hit a session, you change it up, fair enough. But like, you know,
I think the details matter again. If you're excelling and you're a high level competitor or you're high level, just, you know, whatever, and you're really excelling, that's fine. If you're struggling to progress and you keep deviating there, that's a problem.
I mean, how often do you both, or how often would you have your plan, like training plan, changed, or your split changed, or workout routine, like exercise or rotation, or not that often? I bet months.
I've been with Callum now from basically I think I signed up with him like last 3 days of December. So I literally started in January, and I've had in 10 months 2 training programs. And I've just started. I'm the fourth week into my new plan. So this will be my third training rotation.
The
first 2, the splits were the same. It was just how the sessions were set up. So exercise selection and different sort of movement patterns in different orders, just to sort of reduce fatigue in certain sessions. But this is the first time my actual split has changed.
And I bet, let's say you stall on, say, an incline press, he might move that later on or before in the session rather than pull it out completely. Whereas a lot of my clients they'll be on a program for 2 weeks, and they'll be like, when can we change the program? I'm like, why? What for? You know, they haven't installed, they're just bored.
Okay, so what my question is, what do you say to a client who wants to change all the time? Because I know my clients want to change roughly every 4 to 6 weeks, give or take. What do you say to them when they say that? How do you get around that?
Well, I asked the question what Judge just asked. Why do you feel that the need to change the session? Have you stopped progressing?
Let's say they say I'm bored.
Well, okay, we might need to look at a different training system then that's going to keep you sort of focused and keep you enjoying the session. So then what I'd do is it'd be a little bit more of a broad setup of the session. So it might be like a pull down movement, a row movement, an incline press movement, a chest press movement. So not like a specific machine. Because I always get my clients to tell me what equipment they've got in the gym. Like, what gym are you training at? What equipment have you got? And it might be as specific as, right, I want you to use the prime incline press. Set 1, I want you to load it on the middle peg. Set 2, I want you to load 50% on the middle peg, 50% on the top peg. But another client doesn't train at a gym at that standard, so the session might be incline chest press of choice, or flat press of choice, or machine pull down of choice. So I think it's definitely individually based. But I'll be honest with you, I ain't got a lot of clients that I've come across that with. Like, I've not had to change the
I was going to say, your clients are probably off the level that they understand it. They know.
Yeah.
If you're, again, if a lifestyle client, let's say, you know, someone that just trains for fun, not even they trains that hard, and they're like, oh, I'm bored. Fair enough. I'll change it. I'll change your hamstring curl from a seated to a lying. Fine. Now, if someone that wants to be like to get the most out of their training, I'll just say to them, look, at the end of the day, you're here to do a job in a way. Like, we get in the gym to do a certain, we almost see it as, yes, it's got to be enjoyable, but there's a line where your body needs that. So you're better off doing this. You're good. That's going to be better for your progress.
Yeah. I mean, what I have done in the past, I've done this a few times this year, is in my client group, I'll write a session up, which will be different to what I would normally program. So it might be like a higher volume session with a lot of eccentrics, so maybe supersets, maybe trisets, maybe like some drop sets. And I'll say, guys, if anybody wants to try this, here's a push session for you to try, or here's a pull session for you to try, or here's a leg session for you to try. And I'll just fire it into the group. And if they want to just do that as a one-off every now and again, then crack on. That sometimes it's just nice for a little bit of change. So when I was nursing, when I had a little bit of a grade 1 tear in my pec earlier this year, and I think it went into like the head of my bicep as well. I've been struggling with a little bit of bicep tendonitis, like at the top end for, well, even when we trained Rye. Like, I've been probably struggling with it on and off. Touch wood, all through prep, it was fine, but I managed it. I've been struggling with that for like maybe 18 months, 2 years. So Callum programmed my full session, but I changed my push session, and I spoke to Michael and Lisa Gelsey, and Michael and Lisa Gelsey sent me maybe like 4 or 5 different push sessions, what I just incorporated into my plan. So my normal program was my pull day was my pull day from Cal, my leg day was my leg day from Cal, my push day was from Mike and Lisa, because it wasn't top set back off, or it wasn't sort of married to a certain system. It was higher volume, lower weight, concentrating on 5-second negatives and pauses and supersets and drop sets. And that just suited me at the time, training that muscle group, working around an injury. So, like I say, I've done all different types of training, and that worked really well.
I think it basically matters the level of client. But it sounds of things. In fact, we had a chat at the Fit Expo. You take basically just competitors now, and you delegate the lifestyle elsewhere. Am I right in saying?
Yeah. So now I only take on competitive clients.
That is the difference there.
Yeah. So the generally are now at a level. Don't get me wrong. Like, I've still got quite a few lifestyle clients who have been with me like 2-3 years. So it's not like I've just bin them off. Like, they still get the same level of service, but the new clientele are just competitors. I've got a coach who works under me now. So any lifestyle inquiries that come through, he gets past them straight away. Phoebe still deals with lifestyle females and competitive females, but I just deal with the competitors now.
But
Even
I
with
think
lifestyle, there's a line. How like lifestyle, you can take it fairly serious, or you can be pretty slack. You know,
Yeah, I mean
there's two levels to it.
There's I have got some exceptions depending on the questionnaire that comes through, and when they send the pictures in, and I look at the level of clientele that I'm going to be dealing with, and if they want to get ready for a photo shoot, I might work with them. Or if it's somebody who I know or know of, but they don't want to compete, but I know that they're at a certain standard, I will work with them. But majority of the time now, it's just athletes.
well, a lot of my clients are lifestyle. I'd say it's probably 60% lifestyle, and because of that fact, they do want changes more often. And it's like they believe they're getting a better level of service if there's more change.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of my job is trying to explain that that's not how it works. And I've got sheets that I send to them, like a frequently asked questions, and they get the details, but they still feel like they're getting more service. They get more for their money if they get more changes.
Yeah.
And it's sort of weird.
Go on, mate. Sorry.
I wanted to ask you actually. Obviously, you just mentioned him a couple of times now. How have you found it so far with Cal, and how does it differ from your previous with Josh?
Cal's been excellent. So, there's the level of detail that Cal goes into in his programming and his methodology behind what we're doing in terms of how he maps out from day one to, right, this is the goal. We've got X amount of months and this is how we're going to get there, is second to none. Like I was blown away when he sent me my first setup. Like, fucking hell, this is different. And it's leveled me up. Like, don't get me wrong, when I started with Josh, that was miles in front of what I'd ever experienced before. So Josh leveled me up, not only as an athlete, as a coach. Because I was like, fucking hell, this is a lot more detailed than what I've been used to. But then it's gone on to another level now. And he's in off season, I think, depending on what level you are of as a client. Like, I don't need babysitting in off season. You give me a plan, I'll crack on. I'll check in once a week, and I don't really mind if you don't get back to me for 24 hours, because nothing's really going to fucking change in off season unless there's an issue. Like, it's not really going to change. I'm still going to eat my food. I'm still going to get up and do my cardio. I'm still going to do my training. So I don't need babysitting through the off season. As long as I'm following the plan, that's fine. In prep, he turned it on. Like, he was on the ball more than I've ever known. So straight off the bat, it was like, check in Monday, right, check in again Wednesday, right, check in again Saturday. Straight from being like 14 weeks out. So he is a prep coach. There's no doubt about that. That's when he comes into his own. And I was very impressed how he managed me into the show this year. It's been the easiest prep I've done. Don't get me wrong, it was still hard. Like, I had to fucking dig, but it's been the easiest prep I've done in terms of just how I felt, how I managed fatigue, the work that I had to do to get in shape. It was pretty seamless, really. So
that's interesting.
I've seen that firsthand. You know Kerry, don't you? You both did the same show, didn't you?
Who's that?
She turned pro at the.
Okay, yeah, Kerry, the wellness client.
The wellness girl, yeah.
She turned pro in Austria. I turned pro the week after in Italy.
That's right. Yeah, she trains at my gym. And yeah, mate, the amount of like detail that there is just insane. But again, because of the caliber of athlete that you two are, you obviously, it makes a difference.
Hey Chuck, you know that thing that you sent into the group the other day? You know that level of detail, but the guy wasn't very good.
Yes.
Was it like that amount of detail? But obviously for Nath, that's relevant, yeah.
Beyond that.
Was it? Oh wow.
It's like, yeah, it's beyond that. It's like, how many shits do you take a day? Like that, stuff like that. like
Nice.
that sort of detail.
Well, I obviously it's interesting to hear like a different perspective from that. Like since joining Martin, it literally changed the game for me. Like prep's never been so fun. I always saw prep was. I fucking love this shit.
I tell you what, Ryan, you wouldn't find that fun. So like stuff like the hardness of your shit. It's kind of like stuff like that. You wouldn't find it fun because I know you. You're gonna think, oh, but
I mean, I'll be honest with you, I don't fill that bit in, but there is
what texture of shit.
Yes,
there's your Bristol stool chart rating, like 1 to 5 or 1 to 8, I think it is. So like 1's fucking brown and hard, and 8's like fucking green and sloppy. And I don't fill that in.
Look, I'm 35, but that's funny to me, all right? I'm sorry, I'm very immature. Yeah, I don't know if that suits me, but yeah, I mean, I get it. I mean, knowing every detail of what's going in and what's going out, I get it. But at first, I don't have no qualms with that. Someone like Nath, who's of his level, I'm fine with that. But it's when people are of no level and they're doing that, it kind of bugs me.
Yeah,
obviously, Callum probably wouldn't take on someone like that.
Yeah, he's not taking on any lifestyle clients now. Let's be fair. He's taking on professional athletes and people who are on the brink of turning pro. That's going to be it. If not, he'll be filtering that down to his other coaches. But I'll be honest with you now, since prep, I've not filled my tracker in anyway. I don't even think it's in my setup anymore, just because I am a fucking creature of habit. Like, I do the same thing every day. Since working with Callum, my digestion has never been as good. I might have a sloppier shit if I've had an off-plan meal, but other than that, I shit at the same time every day. And Chud's gone.
Oh, where is he? You got mate. Anyway, carry on.
Everything is literally like clockwork now. So he kind of doesn't really need to know, because he knows that I do this every morning, I do this every day, I train at the same time, I eat at the same time, I go to bed at the same time, I wake up at the same time. Unless there's something that is an issue and we need to monitor it over a period of weeks, then it's just like Groundhog Day now for me.
Well, I guess the thing is, he's got people of your level and even above you as well. And it's like, so his job is now, he trusts you to do the job. So he doesn't need to babysit any of you. So he probably doesn't need that information because he just knows it's going to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Your goal would mean more, mean so much to you. He knows you're not going to drop the ball. Whereas with lifestyle clients, you need to constantly push. And I'll be honest with you, at the moment, it's really wearing thin on me. Something needs to change, because I don't see myself doing this with lifestyle clients for a long period of time. It's a bit soul destroying sometimes. From a personal,
I can say to you today, like Ryan, I reckon your market is competitors. Like I said, if I were a lifestyle client, I would find it intimidating working with you because of how you look.
I don't know. I don't know if that's true. I mean, maybe some people would, but there's plenty of people who are better than me taking on lifestyle clients just fine, you know?
Have you noticed, Ryan, that you might have taken on lifestyle clients in the past? Now they're competing under you.
Yes, definitely. In fact, that's my favorite type of client. That one who's like kind of been training 5 or so years, but wants a bit more.
Yeah,
that is my favorite client.
I don't know whether I want to compete or not, but kind of interested in it. And
yes.
6 months in, they fucking see the progress that they've made and they're like, oh, right, fucking hell.
100%, yeah.
There might be potential here for me to compete.
Yeah, that is without question my favourite, because they're already fairly good, but you know with your direction that they're going to level up. And then, it's really satisfying. Yeah. In fact, if I was coaching someone like you, I don't know how satisfied it would be, because you're already that good. It would almost be like, well, yeah, he's good. And then you get on stage next time and you're good, but you were good anyway. There's something for me that's satisfying is taking someone who's lower to higher.
And you know what? I think that is the sign of a good coach as well. That's a sign of a good coach, when you can take somebody who potential is there, but it's not evident in the physique at the minute, and you can turn them into something. You're like, fucking hell, wow, they've made some progress. That's a sign of what you're doing is right.
Yeah, definitely.
And it shows that it's. I think coaching is not. It's not so much about eat this, train like that. It's like, how do you get the most out of that client? Like, what do you say to that person to get them to do what you ask them?
Yes, absolutely.
The diet's fairly simple. I mean, for anyone can pretty much write you a diet that's been, that knows their stuff fairly well.
There's no secret to the food. Like there is no secret recipe. I think, like you say, it's how you handle the mental aspect of dealing with a client.
Definitely.
And getting
your interpersonal skills.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because I think I would argue that prep is harder psychologically than it is physiologically. I mean, it's hard both, but the things that go on up here, I would say, are probably harder for a lot of people than just simply dieting. You know what I mean? So
right. So I'm actually going to do I've said to myself I'm going to do a little bit more stuff that's more informative on social media than just fucking posting physique pictures up. Because I feel like I've definitely got more to give than just a picture of my pants. So I'm going to start trying to dedicate a little bit of time to give a bit more informative information out there. And I'm going to do one tomorrow on the importance of a happy prep, especially for clients who have never competed before.
Yeah,
and how that mindset can affect a prep in a positive or negative way.
Yeah, absolutely.
A more an informative type post, like training video. Maybe you break down the training, why you do it a certain way, and you get people message you like, "Oh, I find that really really informative." And you just think, really?
Yeah.
Because that's kind of like, well, I know that shit, but to a lot of people they don't.
Yeah.
They actually take a lot out of it, but we don't think of it like that.
I make notes on my phone of things that I want to talk about and videos I want to make, and a lot of it is completely. If I said it to you guys now, it'd be like, well, yeah, but they don't assume that people know. There are so many people that are just coming up that really don't know.
Yeah.
Even with all of the information that's out there, they still don't know. So
yeah.
If you have the ability to give that information in a bite-sized kind of way, I think it's really valuable.
Yeah, I think you're right. And sometimes I'm quite close with my dad. Well, I'm really close with my dad. And because my dad was a bodybuilder, even though it was fucking like 30 years ago, I kind of expect him to know.
Right.
And I get frustrated when he like asks questions. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Well, two things. Not only was it a long time ago, so he's not fresh in his mind, but the information available to him would have been very different.
Very different.
Yeah.
Very different. So just because he's that close to me and he's been around me for the last God knows how many years doing what I'm doing, I kind of expect him to know what I'm talking about when I say it. And sometimes frustrated when he asks questions. And then he did it yesterday, and then I sat back and I thought, why should my dad know that? Like, I don't like.
Yeah.
So I had to say, yeah, sorry. I shouldn't expect you to know that, but this is why.
Going back like 10 years ago, like people thought, well, you start your prep and you do however long you do it, white fish, and because that thins the skin, and that was the thing. That's why everyone thought.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that was normal for people back then.
Yeah, and I think it's really important for like when you're young and up and coming, that sort of shit sticks. I remember hearing white fish thins the skin when I was about 19, 20. And I really believed it. And guess what? I hate fish. I hate fish.
Did you still eat it?
But I was having cod. I was like, come on, let's have a look. Let's have a look. Yeah, I think it's really important to, even if you think it's obvious, if there's value in it, for sure, post it. I try and get a few out. I actually recorded one today myself about intensity of training and adherence to diet. Basically, the reasons why you're not progressing, even though you think you should be. You know, you're just missing out on some very obvious, glaring things, and I just yeah.
And do you know what? Being around Jamie, the last like few weeks of his shows, and the information that he puts out on social media. It's not like groundbreaking in terms of how he breaks it down scientifically. He gives a lot of really good information. What we expect to know, a lot of people don't know, and it breaks it down in a way that's very, very understandable for the lower level client or athlete to understand why he's doing this in a certain way and what the benefits are.
I think you can have people who are super intelligent, but they're not very good at putting a message across. Whereas Jamie, I personally love his YouTube, and I warmed to him, even though I don't know him. I kind of do, but you know what I mean. I just warmed to him, and I think he's got a really good way about him. Me and my girlfriend watch his YouTube, and we enjoy it because he's good at putting a message across.
Yeah, he is.
Whereas you can get someone who's fucking mega smart, they struggle to portray that message, you know.
Because especially if you can actually explain it in a simple way that everyone can get it. If you just like spill out just a load of scientific terms, you just lose people.
Yeah, definitely.
But right, anyway, I can't remember what your last point was again.
Fucking hell, what was it?
Remember
it was screaming on set. We got way off topic.
That was a 30-minute detour, I think.
Screaming from rep 1 to 3 of like a 15-rep set.
In room 101. Get fucked.
Before we shoot off, because we've not had a proper catch up, what's your plans, right, moving forward?
Yeah, mate. Well, actually, it's interesting that you've asked me that because you have been a very big inspiration on me of late. It's funny because do you remember I said to you before, you and me, when I first met you 5 years ago, we were similar in our size. Okay, you and I were 6'3". We were very, very similar, and then all of a sudden you went.
You were probably
still here.
You were probably bigger than me, right? To be fair.
Maybe, but very similar. And then all of a sudden you just skyrocketed. But you have been a very big inspiration. In fact, we spoke at FitX when I won.
Yeah.
I said I want to compete against you.
Yeah.
And it's because I admire your physique and I like you as a person. But yeah, I don't know. I see you doing so well, and I think I want a bit of that. And so I think I'm going to be going to try get an IFBB card.
Nice.
But go sort of March, April sort of time. I want to do it abroad.
Yeah.
Do a qualifier in the UK and then go abroad.
Nice.
So that's my plan. I might do a PCA Pro show, but
I think that'd be good to get another pro show under your belt with a PCA.
I was going to say, yeah. When are you next doing a PCA show?
Right, the calendars aren't out yet, so I'm not totally sure.
That's the thing. You're not out till like January, like Jan, are they? It'll be January.
Yeah, I think so, mate. I think so. So when I know that, I'll be able to make a proper decision. There's another thing as well. If I go to IFBB, will I have to forfeit my card, my PTA card? I don't know.
No. So Dean White competed at the PCA Universe.
Yes.
And won it. I think the following, like maybe 2 or 3 weeks after he did the regional, and then 2 or 3 weeks after he did the Portugal,
yeah,
and then won the pro show and qualified for Olympia. So
and he's still been able to keep his pro card for PCA.
Well, I'm not sure that's irrelevant now because he's an IFBB pro. But
what I mean is, so I'm not Dean's level. I'm not just going to skyrocket through. So for me, if I now go to 2 bros, our PTA going to be funny? Is my point.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, I mean, they want you to compete with their federation. Whether or not you can still compete. Let's say if you did a 2 bros regional and then you did an NPC qualifier and you didn't win your pro card, but then 3 weeks later there was a PCA pro show, could you still compete for the PCA? That's a question that I don't know the answer.
And do you know what the other thing as well is, like let's say I am allowed, like they physically allow me to do it, but they're kind of pissed off. Right?
Yeah.
Am I pissing off the PCA by doing that? And also, if I compete PCA, then go to 2 bros, are they going to punish me for that? And people say that there's no politics, but I don't know, man. I don't know.
There is politics, but if it was for me, until you get the IFBB pro card, I think you should be able to compete unbiasedly in each federation. Would it ever?
They've all something to gain from you because entry fees and
Yeah.
you know, promote the show, and they gain from you competing.
At the end of the day, the PCA want the best athletes at their pro show, so they want you there. But also the IFBB or the NPC, they want the best athletes trying to get the pro card as well. So they fucking want you there. So,
well, I don't know. I think my heart is now set on I wanted an IFBB card, and as I say, thank you. You've been an inspiration towards that, and I think it's fucking amazing what you've done, mate.
cheers, man.
So yeah, I mean, what my ideal situation would be to get it and then compete against you.
Yeah, mate, that'd be a dream.
I mean, you know, you're already there, but for me, yeah, just one step at a time. That's where that's my head's at.
And Big Josh as well.
Yeah,
it's going to be nice to be able to compete against Josh.
Oh, amazing, mate, amazing.
So
it feels more real. Where I know you both, it feels more real. You know, like several years back, the thought of an IFBB pro card, it's almost like,
yeah,
where is it now? There's guys that I know and competing against you as well. I don't know. It feels more real now. You know?
It definitely is, and that shows you the trajectory that we're on as well. So it's definitely a good thing.
I think, I don't know if I've necessarily got it, but you don't know until you try. I think the thing that you've got those pro level legs. The size of your legs is just ridiculous. Whereas me, my legs aren't bad, but they're certainly not like on that level. Being 6'3", I think it's going to be something that's going to hold me back a little bit. So
it's dependent on the show as well, right? It is definitely dependent on the show. So I think you need to test yourself, and I think doing the shows abroad would suit you as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think that'd be definitely a good shout. So are you like middle of off season now, just started, or?
Yeah, no. I don't know if you saw on my Instagram. I was on fake gear.
You were basically running water, weren't you?
So you could basically write off 6 to 8 weeks of my off season, but the rest of the time I've been eating big and training hard. So yeah, I think prep's going to begin roughly December sort of time.
Yeah,
but I come in really fast, so I need to not over egg it.
That's a long prep for you, isn't it?
Yeah, more often than not, it takes me not that long. So
like you can get ready in like 8-10 weeks, can't you?
Yeah, but it's that next level. You know, genetically, my glutes are not. They don't striate very easily. You know, I can be fucking lean as fuck everywhere, but my glutes are still holding. So it's that extra bit. But what I've realised is when I do get my glutes in at the university, I lose a little bit of fullness everywhere else. So it's a bit of a balancing act.
But do you think managing a longer prep would be able to keep digging into those sort of levels of adipose fat that you've not got into before, but then keep refeeding up, digging back down, refeeding up, digging back down to over like a 16-week period, 20-week period to get them in?
I absolutely do think that is the way it needs to go. Ironically, actually, I did do that in 2020, but then COVID happened. I did a 20-week prep, and it was good. It was very, very gradual.
Was that the first time your glutes were like in?
No, my glutes came in 2017, funny enough. The first time I ever saw them. But yeah, and then 2020 they did again, and then unfortunately 2021 was a weird one. I competed when I probably shouldn't because I wasn't in the right headspace, and then this year was really, really good. But
so normally, like my glutes are the first things to come in normally. And this year,
you're even in off season, they're not too far away, are they?
This year though, they were the last thing to come in.
Really, it changed.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There was boxed off at like 5 weeks out, and there was the like you could see them, but in terms of them being in for me, they didn't come. They wasn't in until like sort of 2 weeks out, which was perfect timing.
It's good to ask you this because you're someone who has straight glutes when you get ready. Do you think there's a large genetic element to that, or do you think that it's just simply a time thing?
I think it's where people tend to get the leanest is where they hold the most tissue. and I've got a fucking big ass. Like I hold quite a lot of muscle in my glutes and my legs. Like my legs are lean all off season. My glutes never get super fat, and that's where I hold the most tissue. Where the places where I don't hold the most tissue, which is my back and my arms, they are usually the last things to come in and the first things to get fat. So I do believe that it's definitely the places where you hold the most muscle tissue.
I can see that, but I'd say my back is probably my most developed. But for sure, my back holds body fat.
So again, there is an element of genetics there. And also, I don't know about you, right, but every time I've got down to stage condition, I feel like once body fat starts going back on, it doesn't always go back on in the same place.
Yes, 100%.
It goes back on differently each time.
I've realised as the years have gone on, my legs stay leaner now.
Yeah.
It doesn't tend to go on there. Whereas one prep it was, I was worried they weren't even going to come in. Whereas now, no problem at all. They come in quite early.
Yeah. So I think, like I said, I think what you've got to think is the body is very, very adaptive.
Yeah.
And also it changes year on year on year. Your chemical structure in your brain changes, your metabolism changes, the way you process drugs changes, the way you process food, the way you train, everything changes. So no prep is the same. So what worked for me this prep might not be the fucking same concept next year.
Yeah.
So I think it's very individual based. Like I listened to something. I don't know if it was a YouTuber that Jordan did, or I might have spoke to him about it on last Saturday at his. But he basically did the same prep or the same concept, and because he's like fucking on it with his logbook and he logs everything down. He literally did the same drugs, the same food, the same training. Everything was exactly the same. The outcome was completely different. And that's just because your body changes year after year.
So he said that about the leg pull setup.
He did say that about in his YouTube as well, didn't he?
That was it. Yeah, he said he tried to replicate it exactly, but it just didn't work. He couldn't recover from it the same way he could before.
Yeah, and that's one from external factors in your life, and two, just how your body adapts and changes over years. So,
yeah, absolutely. I've noticed that over the years, different things come at different times for sure. And I've tried all different approaches now, but I feel like I'm almost nervous to try something new. When you find something that works, you kind of just want to stick with it.
Yeah.
Actually, it was quite a, when it comes to peaking, like as in the day itself, are you someone that would cut water, or are you someone that keeps water in?
So, two slightly different approaches, and different approaches that I've done over the years as well. So, with my first coach, Chris, we would cut water at like 4 or 5 p.m. the night before the show, and then reintroduce it in the morning, but like minimally, like depending on how dry or hard or full I woke up, we would then depend on whether I'd put 100 million or 300 million or whatever with each meal. And he never missed a peak with me on that. Like that worked that year. But then I've done that again, and my fucking physique just looked terrible for it, and I've had to keep water in. So I kept water in for the regional, and that worked well. I then kept the same amount of water in for Austria, and I needed more fluid. I definitely needed more hydration.
Was this also after using a diuretic as well?
So for the regional, the only diuretic I used was aldactone. So I used 25 mg of aldactone 7 days. We started 7 days prior. So we competed on the Sunday. So the Sunday night, 25 mg of aldactone, and that ran all the way through to the show. And we used the same protocol for Austria. Thursday, we went to 37.5. Friday, we went to 50. So that could have been a potential why we needed a little bit more hydration, because there was more diuresis, like going on within the body. So we kept the same level of water in. I was on stage a little bit later, and I looked great about 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock. I think there might be a picture of Callum looking at me, and I'm doing a side chest.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've seen that one. And I looked on the money. Within 60 minutes, I fucking literally just deflated in the upper. And that was literally down to fluid balance. So you're full then. You've had enough carbs. You've had the food. It's definitely not like you need more food. You need more hydration and potentially some more sodium. Because as soon as I came off stage and I drank, and I had a tiny little bit of food with some salt on, I fucking just filled back up again.
Shit.
And then for Italy, we kept water in. I think I had maybe like 3 liters, 3.5 liters up until stage on the day of the show. So we doubled the amount of water that time.
I think that really does require a trained eye. I think a lot of people are playing around with these diuretics without proper knowledge of it.
Yeah, definitely.
Knowing when to put more sodium water in, and if you're looking a bit flat, to put more in, less in. It's tough. It's a tough balance.
This is the first year I've ever used diuretics.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
because that's interesting. Because when you and I competed with one another, that's what won you that show. Your condition was ridiculous.
Yeah, so I've always got dry. So I was dry even before we put them in. But I think we used them. Obviously, I was fucking 50 pounds lighter when we competed. So the level of filling that I require now compared to the level of filling I needed then, with the amount of carbs that we have to consume for show, comes a very sort of there's fluid balance that comes with the amount of fucking carbohydrates that we have to consume. So,
well, I think that's an interesting one for people to hear. How much did you have to consume to fill your 300-pound frame?
So for the regional, I did 2 days loading in, around 3,000 gram of carbs just in 2 days. For Austria, we did the same, and wasn't enough. But bearing in mind, I didn't do a depletion as such. So I didn't do like a 2 or 3 days depletion. My depletion diet was still 300 gram of carbs anyway. Like I didn't really go below that. So I was depleted at that, but it wasn't like a protein fat depletion.
Right.
Still. So we kind of just had a bump up to, I think I did like 1,300. And then I might have gained like a pound. And then I did another 1,300, and I think I gained about 4 pounds. So it was like 5 pound up for the regional. We did the same again for Austria, but we needed more filling. So for Italy, I did 3 days at around 1,400, 1,500 per day. Plus, I did 75 rolls of sushi at night as well.
Oh, shit. So for 1,400 for 3 days straight, and a sushi on top.
Yeah, 75 rolls. So, for the Italy show, I was £10. I was £10 up from the Austria show, the morning of the show. The morning of the show for Italy, I was 294.
I remember reading that. That's absolutely ridiculous. I don't think people listening to this will quite grasp how much that is crazy.
Yeah,
so fucking much, man.
I mean, I probably sacrificed a couple of percent condition. But it was enough to carry me and be overpowering enough against the other lads on stage and in the overall to take it.
Yeah, I mean, there's not many people that are nearing 300 pounds on stage. It's the amount of space you occupy on stage is just pretty crazy.
Yeah, so it was good, and we collected a lot of data. It was very enjoyable, but I also know that there's definitely a lot of room for improvement as well. Like you said, but we've talked about this before, right? I feel like I'm only just hitting my stride now. I still feel pretty fresh. So I think I've probably got my best 5 years in front of me now.
It's interesting when we had that chat, the position that we're both in now compared to then.
Yeah.
It's quite interesting, isn't it? Like we both at least like lived up to what we said
Yeah, exactly.
It was about summer 2021, and we both said that we had our best years in front of us, and the next 2 years are very important. And you know, what is it? 15 months later, here we are. It's pretty good.
Yeah, exactly, mate. So
fucking good, man.
I think we've nailed it. We've nailed this last year, definitely.
100%, man. Right. Unless you got any more, I realised me and Nath have been talking there, Judd. Sorry, mate.
I've just listened. To be fair, I can't really chime in much on that. So it's just been good to just listen to it, really.
Someone of Nath's size and level it's a pleasure to hear from you, mate. So thanks for sharing.
Mate, sometimes like talking, like it doesn't. You benefit more from listening. So certainly.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, your level and Callum's level, your size, it's an insight into that a lot of people won't have heard before, probably.
Yeah.
Really, really cool.
Yeah, so yeah, it's exciting times, mate. Exciting times. I'm ready to start my off season. I get my bloods done in a couple of weeks, so I'll be ready to crack on. But I've got a hernia operation to get out of the way first.
Is that I've got one in my upper belly button?
Yeah, umbilical. That's the same as me, mate. It's not noticeable as much in prep because your stomach volume is not as high, so I can pull a vacuum. But as soon as I start eating food again, it's like, and you're full all the time. It's prominent, so I need it sorted.
I've got the same, mate. I've got the same. It's a nightmare, but
quite a lot of people get that, don't they? Especially like size.
Yeah, when you've got to consume, it's the amount of food you have to consume.
And potentially, I don't know if you've had it, Chud, like with being like strength based from the beginning. I don't know if you've ever with your deadlifting or your squatting heavy. Have you ever had any issues like with
I've had other injuries, but nothing like that. So it could be genetic.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, though, Nath, Chud is 10 years younger than us.
Oh, you've got it all to come.
Yeah, you're 25, right, Chud?
25, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, is that how you are?
Yeah. So there's still time, I guess.
Yeah.
Being 25, it's and having the sort of knowledge that you've got already and being around like experienced guys, it bodes well for not only your coaching but everything moving forward, mate.
Yeah, I mean it's helping that I've like guys like you lot. Like I get to be around like a lot of guys like you, so that's where you learn for sure.
And I didn't start competing until I was 27. I think you were maybe similar as well, Nath.
27, mate. 2015 was my first show.
Yeah, I was 2015 as well. So yeah, mate, it might happen. It might still happen for you, Chad.
Yeah. You might get in a pair of sparkly pants one day.
I remember you saying to me, if I go to do it again, stop me. Fucking don't let me do it. Because you don't enjoy the diet side of it, do you?
It's just not been. Maybe in the future. I mean, who knows? But for now, it's not. It's not on the cards.
Maybe, mate. Maybe. But yeah, right. We'll call it time then, boys.
Yeah, fuck it. We've been on 2 hours, haven't we?
Thank you so much for your time, Dave. Really appreciate it, mate.
See you later, lads.
Nice one, man.
Cheers, man.